he really did a good job in
this one
doing his version.
This one seemed more to me like, you know, someone with a junior high art education trying to do the Mona Lisa. Like, no, is it not original? It wasn't like a perfect. It wasn't a perfect copy. I don't. Yeah. It's not going to fool any art appraisers. Yeah, no one's going to confuse this with Sergio Leone or Ridley Scott.
Because I think they were very self-aware in that this is going to be cool, or if it's we want to copy what's been done. Because with these quotes ending the scene, it's almost like they micromanaged every scene to fit within the specifications of what a summer action movie or similar films should be, or what they've done.
Right.
Here's the moment when he doesn't listen to his wise friends, I'm going to go out on my own and chase her down. It's like Rambo, when he's putting on the bandana. He's got the rosary in his
behind
hand,
him,
right?
Right, exactly.
And you see the fist clenching. I mean, we've seen that before, but here it was done well, but it doesn't really add anything or amaze me. It's like he's copying the moves really well.
Right.
But within the context and how they're coming together, they don't really create anything new or different or special.
Well, you know, it's like seeing like a halfway decent Led Zeppelin cover band. You know, it's like, it still rocks.
Exactly.
It's not a very nice way to put it. It's not like seeing Jimmy Page in 73, though. Yeah. It's not the same effect.
You know, it doesn't hit you in the same way.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good drunken night out, I suppose, but...
Here, the failure, as we talked last week, is following through on the characters. If you would stay honest to who the characters are in every single moment, they would create a unique experience. But because you just go with, okay, no, let's stop this character from being a priest who's basically like a Vietnam vet, who's been at war for so long, and has his emotions.
And then shoved back into a society that doesn't want him anymore. Yeah. That's a very interesting thing to play with.
Yeah, and they didn't go for, dude, you have a theocracy ruling the territory. There's this dictator guy, and that guy was so cliche, the Cardinal Monsignor
first of all,
or whatever.
Here's the other thing, because I have to point out the plot holes, because I'm anal like that. The Monsignor, he only has 5 priests to defend the entire city, and he sends them all out after the other. So first of all, if you've got the priest going out on his own, the way to not let the populace see that he's rising up against him, because that'll give everyone ideas, you just let him go, and no one's going to know anything. If you start sending people after him, that's when people start to talk. Despotic rule number 1, first of all. And then and then second of all is that when they're just pretending that there's no vampire man, so we killed them all, or why didn't they just wipe them out entirely and they put them on reservations, that I don't understand at all.
It's probably in the book, but they decided not to explain it.
Yeah, exactly. I'm sure it's explained better in the graphic novel. There's no contingency plan in case anything goes wrong. They are completely defenseless except for 5 priests who he then sends away from the city. Like, and with the city which happens to be in total darkness at all times, mind you.
And why would you decommission the 5 most powerful guys who are loyal to you and haven't shown signs of getting greedy or wanting to take over?
Right.
I was expecting to have some kind of, I've been in contact with the vampires all along, and we're working together to maintain chaos so I can have rule over this. You didn't get into his motivations and his character. It was just very cliche, must tell you no because the story requires it. I want him to be like Edward the Longshanks. I want scenes of him telling the other Monsignor ruler guys, here's why we must have control.
Right.
We need to have a moment like that to understand him. So that way we're not asking these questions. Wouldn't the society be like, these priests are awesome. They have like all these powers. Wouldn't they be like, thank you and respect them?
Yeah, and they're all afraid of them. They don't like them.
Yeah.
Again, very much like Vietnam War stuff, which is an interesting idea to play with, but they didn't do that.
If you're going to bring up Vietnam vets, if you're going to go with kind of this racism stuff where the Searchers wasn't afraid to go for it, where you had John Wayne, if his granddaughter, niece or whoever she
hooked up with an Indian, he was going to kill her.
He's going to kill her.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like, you don't cross that line. I mean, that movie was not flinching about that. What do the vampires represent here? Sci-fi and horror are always a great metaphor, analogy for now. Back in the day, the sci-fi writers couldn't talk about what was going on, so they created a fictional world and talk about it there, but it's really about us. Have the guts to talk about religion, just go for it. And if you're not going to approach it and you're just going to go for these fun, superficial action images, they're entertaining, but they leave you feeling empty in the end.
Right. And again, the thing, the straight up action scenes were entertaining.
Yeah.
All the stuff looked cool. The city looked cool, even though, I mean, I've seen it in Dark City and Blade Runner and all these other things. The wastelands looked cool. Them blowing across the desert in their super motorcycles.
300-mile-an-hour motorcycles, and they have like only goggles on. Yeah. Like, come on, dude. Your face would be torn apart.
But that looked cool, you know?
Yeah.
But again, it just wasn't quite enough to make up for the complete cliches in all the other areas.
Yeah.
You know, it just, I don't mind good pulp entertainment when it's entertaining. I don't even mind something that's like so bad that it's entertaining, like some Nicolas Cage movies I can mention. You know, like this kind of fell in between where it wasn't so bad. It was just kind of,
it's like
bad.
it wanted, I don't know if it wanted to be serious and try to be great, or if it knew that it was just trying to be a summer movie, if it was just trying to be enough.
Again, I get the feeling like with a lot of Hollywood movies, there's so many hands, there's so many cooks on the pot, you know, there's so many hands involved that some people wanted to make this really cool adaptation of this awesome source material with this cool mythology, and some people wanted to just dress it up for a summer movie, and some people wanted to make a couple of us get some fight scenes in here from the vampires, and that's some cool action for here.
Yeah, they didn't even get into what gave them their powers and all that kind of stuff. They're just badasses. Okay, I guess so.
Which is fine, I guess. Felt like there were too many different visions for this movie should be or could be.
Yeah.
Some actually had like a vision, and other visions were just like what's marketable.
Yeah.
You know, that was that vision.
And I think
which gained control.
Lately,
of
the marketable visions is always winning out.
Yeah.
The director did a good enough job at his craft. Okay, he filmed everything well. The acting was decent enough. The action sequences were fun.
Right.
I love when she's on the motorcycle and she like twists that guy up and like cuts him to pieces.
Yeah, that was cool. That was cool.
And she blows up the train. All that stuff. Okay, you get what you expect. But what is totally failing is that in the writing, there's no depth to the characters. When you have movies like this where these characters don't talk, you just feel like you're on the outside. I just actually watched the Clint Eastwood, one of the Man with No Name movies. And he's a character that doesn't talk at all.
Right.
So you're not going to know his backstory if he was ever married.
Right.
But the way we connect to him, he always has the innkeeper that has a really cool personality and who's always bugging him. The little brother that's always wanting him to talk.
Right.
And it's very much a Greek chorus where that guy in A Fistful of Dollars, basically a remake of Yojimbo, where it's like the two sides.
He puts the two clans against each other.
Yeah.
Right.
And he's with this guy who owned like a hotel/casino. And that guy is really a great character. He's trying to get inside his head, and he's like telling us what he thinks he's thinking. And we start getting inside of the Man with No Name, even though he's not saying anything. Movies that really make connections for us with the characters, those kind of things are done in the writing. And here where you have a priest that gave up his life, became part of a theology, fought this war, and now doesn't have a place anymore and feels abandoned, you don't have him sharing anything, and none of the characters voice what they think and what they want. As a result, it's just like this empty exercise in flash and fun visual entertainment, but we're left spiritually broke for this. I gotta make my new standard that I want movies that have this. I know it sounds too serious, but go over your top 10 movies, even if they're action-y.
Right.
Empire Strikes Back. The
Die
Matrix,
Hard.
Die Hard.
RoboCop.
Die Hard, right? John McClane bleeding, talking to Al, like, tell my wife if I don't make it out of here.
You got it, buddy.
Morpheus, you're the one.
Right.
It's just there's so much heart pouring in those films. Die Hard's a stupid action movie, right? But it's awesome.
I will disagree with you that Die Hard is an awesome, smart action movie with the smart. We can go on a whole separate discussion about that.
That's what I'm saying. Like, people think Die Hard's a stupid action movie.
Right.
But when you actually like really appreciate it, it's one of the best. I think it should be in the top 100 AFI movies.
Definitely.
And it's not. That's like a crime. I mean, Hans, all those characters are so thought out. That's what I want, and I'm tired of pretending that I don't, because it's like, you want too much, and
right, yeah, you're asking for too much. You're too movie snob.
Yeah,
and the thing is, I'm not a movie. I just want something that's interesting, because we live in a world where there's so much media. There's so much coming at us all the time. We've got great TV. TV now is in this renaissance of just amazing television out there. We've got stuff online. We've got stuff YouTube can be of our attention. We've got the movie preview critic can be of our attention. You're sitting down, you're sitting down for 20 minutes listening to us talk. You know, it's like, thank you, by the way. But it's like we only have so much time to devote to media, what's out there. And so I want good stuff. I want to be choosy. I don't want to just sit through the next other thing, just having to pick out these somewhat cool moments.
Right.
You know what I mean? And like subsist on those crumbs.
Yeah.
I want the whole cake.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. It's almost like with the CGI thing, when The Matrix did bullet time, from that point on it became every movie that has CGI needs a bullet time.
Right.
It doesn't need the context of the bullet time. Bullet time is significant because it signifies that Neo is becoming a master and stronger with his powers.
Right, in a world where he can manipulate time and space pretty much.
So it amazes us on both levels. But now movies are just, no, give us a cool effect. do something interesting visually, and we'll be satisfied. No, man, we want to have the meaning behind the action now. On that level, I might have to go even lower than a rental for this. So what do we say is lower than a rental? Is it on demand?
It's on demand, yeah.
I go on demand for this.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you're looking from a serious point of view for this, go on demand. If you want to enjoy it as a comedic kind of cliche, you can enjoy it that way as a matinee.
Yeah, it's passive entertainment. It's not engaging entertainment. It's passive entertainment.
Yeah. So with all that said, is Priest movie hope or movie apocalypse?
You need something in between, like movie...
Movie limbo? Movie limbo?
Movie limbo. It's movie limbo. Thank you. It's movie limbo. Because movie hope in that someone greenlit an adaptation of this really cool source material with a main character that can't have a love interest.
Yeah.
And doesn't kiss the girl. There's heavy religion to it. Cool idea of the church being the bad guy. That's movie hope. The movie apocalypse is everything they did with the source material to just flatten it out and make it as generic a genre exercise as possible.
So movie purgatory.
Movie purgatory.
Because that sounds like more flames and pain and
right.
Oh, it was so close. You
so
know,
close. It could have been.
We could see the gates. We could see St. Peter up there being like, "Come in here, movie hope."
No.
And then we see the forces of movie apocalypse pulling it down. So we have just created a middle realm. I think I'm going to agree with this. I think the biggest thing that really attracted me to wanting to see this movie was the whole thing about the religion. That's going to be the main focus of it. And that they didn't have the guts to go for it. It has the movie apocalypse angle to it. But then when you combine the two, movie purgatory.
Movie purgatory. There you go.
Priest, fittingly creates movie purgatory. Tell us about the creative endeavors that are going on here.
We're doing Zen and the Art of Waitering at blogspot.com. You can download a free sample of the book at smashwords.com/books/view/13249. So you can download it for your Kindle or for your iPhone or your iReader or your whatever. And all your just HTML or $5, you know.
And you'll always have Jonas at your side, ready to give you some insightful wisdom.
There you go. Yeah, my insightful wisdom.
Instead of smoking a cigarette,
right.
Read a passage from Zen and the Art of Waitering. Yeah. And get centered again.
Exactly. Or then have another cigarette. You know, what do I care?
Another cigarette.
Become a fan at facebook.com/Zen and the Art of Waitering.
And StoryCorp, if you're listening,
hey,
we're always available
for rewrites.
With that, consider yourselves advised for Priest. Remember that StoryCorp always gives us more of what we pay for, so choose your movies wisely. And until next review,
long live good movies.